May I remind you that trading is risky and not suitable for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Welcome to QuantBox Daily. Today is Friday, October 28th, and the day that I turn 40. Can you believe that? All right, so let's take a look at fundamentals. Right, so euro dollar, we've gone from neutral yesterday back to a sell today. I think it's important to pay attention to where we're getting the data from in terms of the bias being a sell, right? Our score of -4, COT data -4, seasonality -1, GDP growth -1, inflation -1, unemployment -1, interest rates -1. The only thing that is a positive is trend reading. So right now, technicals are showing bullish, but fundamental data is all showing bearish. It's important to pay attention to that. Okay, so yesterday, we had some important news out of the Eurozone in terms of the ECB meeting. Today, we've got some high-tier news out of France. We've got some medium-tier news out of France. Otherwise, pretty much low-tier data out of other European countries. Some more low-tier data out of European countries. And some high data later on, about 42 minutes, okay, CPI. And then some more high-tier news out of Germany. More high-tier news out of Germany. And then some high and low-tier news. So quite a full slate so far as European news goes today. So keep an eye on that. Quite a lot of data coming out of the Eurozone today. And then heading sort of towards later. Gee whiz, a lot of news today. Let's continue as we move more towards, wow. And some low tier news out of the States later on today. Some medium and high tier news out of the States. Some more medium and high tier news. Quite a full day so far as news is concerned today. I won't go further than that because that's all the New York session. All right. So again, we're sort of just saying, you know, fundamentally, nothing is saying bullish on the euro dollar, except for trend reading. Okay. On pound dollar, we've also got sell. Okay. COT -2, seasonality -1, GDP -1, inflation -1, unemployment 0, interest rates -1. And the only thing that's positive is retail sentiment and trend reading, right? So again, no fundamental reason to be bullish on the pound dollar. No upcoming news out of the UK today. Sorry about that. So no news out of the UK today, but we have got we got a good reason to not be bullish, basically, in terms of data. So far as data is concerned, USD CAD, we are bullish, and as you can see, so seasonality, trend reading, GDP growth, unemployment, everything pointing towards bullishness. COT data pointing towards bullishness. Only inflation and interest rates point towards bearishness. Okay, we got some CAD news coming out later today. All right, so we're going to keep an eye on that. And let's just quickly do this. Turn my phone off. Imagine that people are looking to phone me. Aussie USD. We've got, so still bearish. Remember yesterday how we had so much neutrality on these pairs, and now suddenly everything's kicked back in? Okay. We'll take a look at technicals because technicals are not clean at the moment. Taking a look at Aussie, right now, euro dollar, you know, pound dollar, those two sort of strikingly bearish from a fundamental perspective. Aussie USD, we got Nell coming through in trend reading. Retail sentiment is 0, seasonality -1, GDP growth -1, inflation 1, unemployment 0, interest rates -1. So some mixed data there. Still coming through as a sell though. And then Kiwi dollar still showing neutral. Okay. Our yen pairs, Still showing neutral on Aussie yen, as well as CAD yen, Euro yen, pound yen, and Kiwi yen. Okay, so Kiwi yen still a buy. We know that that's out of position. So taking a look at our technicals, starting with euro dollar. In fact, let's just start at the top. Let's go start with Aussie USD. So Aussie USD, you can see yesterday we didn't have price coming off any particular resistance on the daily time frame. We had price coming down off of the profit taking zone, but again, I said I'm looking for an indication of role reversal, right? I don't want to be in trades where it's boomerang trades, bouncing down, bouncing up, having to focus on when to close the trade. I want to be able to get into a trade that I can run for a while, right? And I really do prefer trends. Knowing that we've come out of this beautiful move for the past year and some months means that it is likely for us to calm down for a bit and consolidate for a bit, which just tells me that in these moments here, making lots of money, when we suddenly find ourselves not trending, and you can see here, if we look at this in terms of the price action right now, sideways down here, price coming up, failing to break above these previous highs, and then price coming down. So I'm looking at this and saying, ultimately really sort of very rangy, right? You look at that, you say, well, have you got direction? I'd say, no, you haven't got direction. It looks very choppy to me. And I'm looking for some indication of role reversal. So looking at the H1 charts, you can see there just very, very sideways, very, very choppy. Price coming up, then price coming down, price failing to come up all the way to the top. You might have identified some role reversals inside there. Personally, I like to get everything off the H4 chart first, but if you were looking at that and you sized that up yesterday, see, I like to use the 4-hour time frame. I like to use bias candles in the 4-hour time frame with regards to market opens, and then trade those at market opens. Looking at the 4-hour time frame right now, I don't have anything like that. I've got price going up, price coming down, price coming back up, breaking these resistance levels, price coming down. I don't believe in the 2155 because I don't see this as a higher high, having not broken above these previous highs. I'm seeing a lot of consolidation right now, okay? And again, going back to the Aussie USD on QuantBox, we can, you look at this and you say, it is a bit of a mixed bag, right? You've got some zeros, you've got some ones, you've got some minus ones, okay? So whereas you look at the euro dollar, and you've got a very clear indication of fundamental bearishness. Pound dollar as well, very clear indication of fundamental bearishness. Whereas the Aussie USD, not so much, right? So just be aware of that, be careful of that. But ultimately, I'm looking for that lower low, lower high. An indication, you can see if you look over here on the left-hand side, price coming down, price coming back up, closing at this resistance over here. That for me is definitely a clear sell, okay? And taking profit down here, fair enough. But I mean, ultimately taking profit over there when price fails to make that lower low, comes up and makes range this structurally higher than this low. But again, no bullish role reversals, okay? And that's how long-term bias changes, is with role reversals, price action. I'm not seeing that right now. I'm seeing lots of consolidation. So I'm super careful at the moment. And I'm looking at the 4-hour chart, waiting either 4-hour or daily. That's where I get my strategy from. 4-hour or daily, waiting for either of those time frames to just give me some indication of like further direction, long-term direction, trades I can get into for longer than a day. Something that I can really hold for a while, right? Again, going back to the chart up here and saying, well, if you got it over here, then you made a ton of money, right? Down here, if I'm not consistent in the type of trade I'm taking, in other words, if I'm not trading a trade, then I got to start getting into how do I manage that trade? How do I take profit in that trade? And I start to really mess with my consistency and my control. I want to make sure I don't do that. So just being patient at the moment on the Aussie USD. In terms of euro dollar, we can see here, it's pretty much the same story. So we got price coming up. We observed yesterday that price didn't come off any kind of resistance. We got the 100 EMA just above here. Price coming down, breaking the supports. But we got other support left-hand side that price is closing at. It really is quite messy. We got price above a profit-taking zone. Ultimately, if price was to come up and close above here and stay above here. On Sunday nights, it's quite clear that there's a counter trend trading opportunity, taking this down to the central or further down, based on the fact that we don't have a trend in this situation. You sort of say, well, is this a higher high? Well, it's higher than all these highs, but my concern is like, why are we breaking role reversals? Why are we suddenly breaking levels of support that have now become resistance? I'm not seeing a solid trend in the situation. Also, our higher lows not coming off bullish role reversals. I'm not seeing price closing at support. I'm not seeing price break resistance and resistance become support. I'm seeing just lots and lots of consolidation right now. So that's a concern for me. It's not to say that there wasn't opportunities to buy, but the question is, I'm not looking at the chart and just saying, oh, look, big green candles, big red candles, I should have traded that. I'm looking at the chart and saying, what type of trade am I looking for? I'm looking for a trend. I'm looking for role reversals. I'm looking for good momentum. That's what I'm looking for. So, if you find yourself reacting to price the entire time, it's like trying to catch a chicken, where it can just, you find yourself being reactionary. So as the chicken changes, you change, the chicken changes, you change, you try and chase the chicken, but you can never catch it because you have no idea what it's going to do next, but you keep following it. You like sort of, 2 steps behind it. Whereas if you could somehow focus on a better way to catch the chicken, like maybe wait for it to sit down, wait for it to roost, wait for it to go into the pen, I don't know, you just change your strategy slightly and say, well, instead of me chasing price all over the place, like, oh, it's going up, oh, it's going down, I'm going to buy, I'm going to sell, rather focus on specific type of setups you're looking for in your trading. And like we said at the Stop Looking Correct session last Tuesday, become a connoisseur. Have a specific type of trade that you take and only take that type of trade. For me, I prefer trends. So I'm looking for price to be closing at a role reversal. If you could, of course, say, well, I could trade trends or ranges. If you're trading a range, you're selling top of the range. If you're trading a trend, then you're selling at role reversal. Okay. Ultimately, in this situation, we don't really have either, right? We haven't got a structured range, price sort of going up, going up, going up. But we also know that as price is going up, we don't have any fundamental reason to be buying. Nothing whatsoever. So I'm looking at this and saying, is this really as bullish as we think it is? But if it's so bearish, then give me an indication of bearishness, long-term bearishness. Give me something that tells me, like, does price come back up here? I can sell top of the range up here, which is fine. Does price come up here and then come down, make a lower low, make a lower high? Just something that gives me an indication of bearishness, right? And you go back to all the trading over here, and you'll find there were certain times when it was kind of like this, choppy, choppy, choppy. But ultimately, if you look left-hand side, you can see role reversals in some instances, right? Where you could line that up with a role reversal. You could line this up. Look at this, these candles over here coming into this role reversal over here. And then look at what that creates. Beautiful move down, lots and lots of pips, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not worried about making small, little, tiny trades. I'm happy to wait the market out and look for the opportunities I want to get into those larger trades. Because think about it, if you're getting into bigger moves, then ultimately the risk is the same on a small move or a big move. But the nice thing is the return on a bigger move is much greater. So it makes that risk a lot more feasible, right? So instead of having to worry about, risking money on trades that might work out, rather look for trades that have a higher potential of working out, and not just working out in terms of price going down when you sell, but being able to get into that trade consistently, whatever your trigger is. And very importantly, being able to identify when it is time to get out and when it is time to take profits. And I think that if you look at the last year, if you played that game up until now, you were very profitable. Okay. There were times when you were doing nothing. There were times when you were selling. Times when you were doing nothing, and then times when you were selling. Times when you were doing nothing, and then times when you were selling. Times when you were doing nothing, and then times when you were selling. So on and so forth. And so you're looking at this right now. We still looked at yesterday and said, are we currently closing at a role reversal? And we looked left-hand side and said, we don't see anything. So now we look over here and say, are we closing in a roll reversal? We look left-hand side, we don't see anything. So I'm waiting for price to develop. And maybe by the close of today, something makes more sense. If not, then I'm going to have to wait and be patient. But what is interesting is I know for a fact that fundamentally, I have no reason to be buying right now. We'll see what we look at in terms of going into November next week. Also keep in mind that we got some clocks are changing, so be aware of that as well. All right, so that's my euro dollar. In terms of pound dollar, you can see also, like, I've got this price action here. Nothing is making sense to me yet in terms of bearishness. You know, lower lows, lower highs, price closing at resistance. I'm not seeing that right now. Price currently in a profit-taking zone. I get that and understand that, and I can take a trade from the profit-taking zone totally, 100%. Pivot points are a great way to trade, but just give me some indication of the fact that I'm going to go lower low, lower high. I'm not coming back up. I don't want boomerang trades, right? So I don't see that forming right now just yet. And I'm not suddenly sucked into the whole thing of like, I might miss this trade, I better sell right now. I'm looking for consistent triggers, because if I don't have consistent triggers in my trading, then whatever money I make today, there's no guarantee I don't lose that money tomorrow. And that's a problem when it comes to running a business. If you're running a business and you make money today, but you have no guarantee that you won't lose that money tomorrow, then that is not a profitable business. You would never run a business like that in real life. So why run a business like that in Forex? You need to know that the money that you're bringing in is something that you can hold on to, something that you can grow, that if you make $10 today, that tomorrow you can make money on top of that $10, as opposed to today you make $10 and tomorrow you lose 50. That's not a feasible business, right? You cannot run a business like that. You would never do that in real life. Think about the company that you work for. If you work for a boss, or if you have a job, or if you have your own business, think about your company and what you do, and think about how the company you work for, the company that you own, would not be able to employ people if today you made $10 and tomorrow you lost 50. If there was no consistency in how you generated income, there'd be no way to have an office, to have staff, to be able to have salespeople going out talking to clients. That wouldn't be possible, because how would you possibly forecast your income if you had no consistent way of measuring whether you'd keep that income tomorrow or not? Okay, sounds like a very volatile business. You don't want a volatile business, you want a consistent business. So I'm looking at the 4-hour right now. I'm not seeing anything. Maybe things develop. And again, I'm aware of the fact that we can bounce up and down for quite some time, but I'm looking for that trend. I'm looking for those situations where I'm able to sell lower lows and lower highs. As long as I'm fundamentally bearish, I'm looking to do that. Okay. As long as I'm fundamentally bearish, I'm looking for lower lows and lower highs. Simple as that. So as far as USD CAD goes, so bullish. Okay, cool. You know my thoughts and feelings about being so out of position over here. If you're in the market to sort of scalp for a weekly swing or a weekly counter trend trade, you're looking to take from WM1 to WPP, that's fine. But again, look for that higher high, higher low. Now, you might not be looking at the H4 time frame. Maybe for you, it's okay to find it on H1. Okay, but then show it to me on H1. Show me the higher high, higher low. Okay. Even on M15, show me the higher high, higher low. You don't see it yet, do you? Okay, cool. Well, at least now you've got a way of staying out of trouble. Okay. Just remember that when you are going to go into a trade, know how you are entering and know how you're exiting, and stick to that plan. Okay. You don't want any surprises as you're trading, because surprises lead to panic, and that leads to emotional trading, and that just leads to inconsistency and lack of control. Okay. And I'm not saying that, this over here, price being bullish, fair enough. At a place where you could expect to see buys, fair enough. Just lock it in by saying, give me the higher high and higher low. Otherwise, what do? You buy over here, price shoots up and comes all the way back down and knocks you out. You cannot trade like that. That is not a consistent way of trading. So how do you avoid that? Trade a trend. Somewhere price must be trending. It might look like this in the H4 time frame, but on an M15 time frame, you get the higher high, higher low. Beautiful. At least you're trending on a time frame somewhere. Just remember, If you're trading daily pivot points, then you're going to be taking profit at daily pivot point targets. Okay. Don't just jump in when price is high. Wait for price to come down to support. Confirm that support. Make sure that price has not broken support and support doesn't become resistance. Check the M5 time frame, the M1 time frame. Just make absolutely sure that is bullish. You might bring further controls into trading by only trading market opens. You might bring further control into your trading by only accepting roll reversals on an H4 time frame. That's up to you in terms of how controlled you are. But ultimately, verify everything with a roll reversal somewhere. And what that means is you preserve your capital, you keep your trading account alive, you bring in that control, you bring in that consistency that gives you the confidence, and now suddenly you are growing capital. This is a business like any other business. You got to think like a business. You could not run a company if today you made 10 and tomorrow you lost 50. You would never be able to run that company. It would not last. Forex is no different. All right, so that's my take on the market today. That's what I'm looking for in the market today. And I'm okay with sitting back and waiting for things to set up and waiting for opportunities to present themselves. And until then, waiting for the moment, right? If you're a professional surfer and there were no waves, you wouldn't just go out and surf in flat water because that would be a waste of your energy. Imagine that, something happens where you, I don't know, pull a muscle while you're busy surfing in flat water. Now, when the big wave comes, you can't surf because you're currently injured. That can happen, right? What a waste that would be. If you were a professional surfer, people would look at you and say, why on earth did you go and strain yourself in flat water when you know that you're only supposed to surf when there are waves? Think like a business. And remember, patience is the secret to all of it. Discipline is the secret to all of it. That's the only thing that you really need. A system, support, resistance, bullish, bearish, get that stuff down, Pat. That stuff's the easy part. The challenging part is being disciplined, being patient. You get that right, and it's just a matter of time. Have a beautiful day, my friends. I will see you next week.